My beloved brothers and sisters, every single one of us wants a better life. We want peace in our hearts, success in our dunya, and ultimately Jannah. But sometimes we keep asking Allah for change while holding tightly on to the very habits that are blocking that change. Today, let's be honest with ourselves. The first habit you must delete is procrastination. How often do we say, I'll change tomorrow, I'll pray properly next week, I'll repent later, but who promised you tomorrow? The reality is the delay itself is a trap. Shaitan doesn't always tell you to stop doing good. He just tells you to delay it. And that delay becomes a lifetime. The second habit is negative thinking. Some people lose hope in the mercy of Allah. They say, I've done too much wrong, Allah won't forgive me. Who told you that? Allah's mercy is greater than your sins. When you think negatively, you are limiting the power of the one who created everything. Replace those thoughts with trust. Allah can change your life in a moment. The third habit is bad company. Look around you. Who are your closest friends? Are they taking you closer to Allah or further away? You don't need a crowd, you need the right people. Because slowly, without realizing it, you become like those you sit with. Choose people who remind you of your purpose. The fourth habit is neglecting your salah. This is not just a small issue. This is your connection with Allah. If that connection is weak, everything else in your life will feel empty. You want peace, guard your prayers. You want direction, stand before Allah regularly. Salah is not a burden, it's a gift. And the fifth habit is addiction to distractions. We live in a time where hours disappear scrolling, watching, wasting. Ask yourself honestly, what has it given you? Has it brought you closer to your goals? Has it strengthened your iman? Time is your life. Once it goes, it never comes back. Finally, many of us suffer from lack of gratitude. We keep looking at what we don't have and we forget what we do have. When you are ungrateful, even small problems feel big. But when you are grateful, even big problems feel manageable. Gratitude transforms your perspective. My dear brothers and sisters, change is not complicated, but it requires sincerity. Start small, but start today. Remove these habits one by one and replace them with better ones. And remember, Allah does not expect perfection from you. He expects effort. Turn to Him and you will see how your life begins to change, not just temporarily, but forever. May Allah guide us, strengthen us, and grant us the ability to become better every single day. Ameen. Procrastination is one of the most dangerous habits a person can carry, not because it looks harmful on the surface, but because of the silent damage it causes over time. It whispers to you in a very calm and convincing way, telling you that there is always tomorrow, that you have plenty of time, that you can fix things later. But the reality is very different. Every time you delay something good, you are not just postponing an action, you are weakening your own ability to change. Think about how often we delay acts of worship. We say, I'll start praying properly soon, or I'll become more consistent after this phase of my life. But life never really slows down. There is always something happening, always another distraction, another excuse. And before you realize it, days turn into months, and months turn into years. The opportunity was there, but it slipped away because we kept pushing it forward. This habit doesn't only affect your religious life, it impacts everything. Your goals, your growth, your relationships all suffer when you keep delaying what matters. The problem is not that you don't want to improve. Deep down you do, but procrastination creates a gap between intention and action. And that gap, if left unchecked, becomes your comfort zone. There is also a spiritual side to this. When a person delays good deeds, it is often because Shaitan makes it seem less urgent. He doesn't need to stop you completely. He just needs you to wait. Because he knows something powerful, a delayed good deed is often a lost one. The longer you wait, the heavier it feels to begin. What was once easy becomes difficult, and what was once a simple step becomes a mountain. Another reality we must face is that time is not guaranteed. We live as though we have control over our future, but we don't even know what tomorrow holds. How many people had plans, intentions, dreams of becoming better, but never got the chance? This is not meant to scare you, but to wake you up. The present moment is a gift, and how you use it determines your future. When you keep delaying change, you are also training your mind to avoid responsibility. You become used to putting things off, and over time, it becomes part of your personality. You start saying things like, that's just how I am, without realizing that it is something you allowed to grow. But the truth is, you can change it. It starts with small, immediate actions. Instead of saying, I'll start tomorrow, say, I'll start now, even if it's small. If you haven't been praying regularly, begin with one prayer. If you've been by it from the Quran, read a few lines today. The goal is not perfection overnight. The goal is movement. Because once you take that first step, it becomes easier to take the next. Also understand that action brings motivation, not the other way around. Many people wait to feel ready, but readiness often comes after you begin. When you act, you build momentum, and that momentum slowly replaces the habit of delay with the habit of consistency. In the end, procrastination steals more than just time. It steals your potential, your opportunities, and even your peace. A person who keeps delaying good never feels settled because deep down they know they are capable of more. So break that cycle, act today, even if your steps are small, because small actions done now are far more powerful than big intentions delayed forever. Negative thinking is a heavy burden that many people carry without even realizing how deeply it affects their lives. It slowly shapes the way you see yourself, the world around you, and most importantly, your relationship with Allah. When negative thoughts take over, they don't just stay in your mind. They begin to influence your emotions, your actions, and eventually your entire outlook on life. One of the most dangerous forms of negative thinking is losing hope in the mercy of Allah. A person begins to think, I've made too many mistakes. I'm too far gone. I don't think I can ever be forgiven. But this way of thinking is not humility. It is a misunderstanding of who Allah is. Allah's mercy is not small and it is not limited. No matter how many sins a person has committed, the door of repentance remains open as long as they are alive. When you convince yourself that you cannot be forgiven, you are, in a way, placing limits on the mercy of the one who created everything. Negative thinking also makes you focus only on what is going wrong in your life. You begin to overlook your blessings and magnify your problems. A small difficulty starts to feel overwhelming, and you start comparing your life to others, thinking they have everything while you have nothing. This comparison drains your energy and fills your heart with dissatisfaction. But the truth is, every single person is being tested in different ways. What you see on the surface is never the full picture. Another way negative thinking harms you is by planting doubt in your heart. You begin to question whether your efforts matter, whether things will ever improve. This doubt weakens your connection with Allah. It makes your worship feel empty because you are not fully trusting the one you are turning to. But faith is built on certainty that Allah hears you, that He knows your struggles, and that He responds in the best way, even if it is not immediate or exactly as you expect. Sometimes negative thinking becomes so habitual that a person doesn't even notice it anymore. They speak negatively about themselves, saying things like, I can't do this, or I'll never change, or this is just my fate. Over time, these words become beliefs, and those beliefs shape your reality. But what many people forget is that the tongue has power. The words you repeat to yourself can either build you up or break you down. There is also a subtle danger in constantly expecting the worst. When you always assume that things will go wrong, you begin to approach life with fear instead of hope. You stop taking positive steps because you are already convinced they won't work. This mindset holds you back from opportunities and prevents you from growing. It creates a cycle where nothing changes because you are too afraid to try. Breaking free from negative thinking start. As with awareness, you have to catch those thoughts when they appear and question them. Ask yourself, is this thought bringing me closer to Allah or pushing me away? Replace negativity with reminders of Allah's promises. Remind yourself that difficulty is temporary, that ease will come, and that every hardship carries wisdom. Gratitude is also a powerful remedy. When you actively focus on what you have instead of what you lack, your perspective begins to shift. You start to see that even in difficult times, there are blessings surrounding you. Most importantly, fill your heart with trust in Allah. Trust that He is in control, that He knows what is best for you, and that He can change any situation. When your thinking becomes positive and hopeful, it doesn't mean your problems disappear, but it means you face them with strength, patience, and peace. Bad company is something that many people underestimate, yet it has one of the strongest influences on who you become. You might think that you are in control, that you can stay the same regardless of who you spend your time with, but the reality is that human beings are deeply affected by their environment. The people around you shape your thoughts, your habits, your language, and even your priorities, often without you realizing it. When you constantly sit with those who are careless about their actions, it slowly becomes normal to you. At first, you may feel uncomfortable with certain behaviors or conversations, but over time that discomfort fades. What once felt wrong begins to feel acceptable. This is how change happens quietly. It doesn't come with a loud warning. It comes with small compromises that build up over time. Bad company doesn't always mean people who are openly doing wrong. Sometimes it is simply those who have no direction, no purpose, no concern for their growth or their relationship with Allah. Being around such people can drain your motivation. You may start with goals, with good intentions, with a desire to improve, but when you are constantly surrounded by negativity or laziness, that drive begins to weaken. You start matching their pace, lowering your standards, and eventually losing sight of what you once wanted to achieve. Another danger is that friends often influence your decisions in moments of weakness. When you are alone, you might have the strength to resist something wrong, but in a group, the pressure changes everything. You don't want to feel left out. You don't want to be judged. So you go along with things you would normally avoid. This is how many people fall into habits they never intended to pick up in the first place. There is also a spiritual impact that is often overlooked. Good company reminds you of Allah, even without directly preaching to you. Their actions, their words, their priorities naturally guide you in the right direction. On the other hand, bad company makes you forget. Conversations become empty, filled with gossip, complaints, or distractions. Time passes, but nothing beneficial comes from it. Instead of feeling uplifted, you feel heavier, more distant from your purpose. It is important to understand that choosing better company does not mean looking down on others or thinking you are superior. It simply means protecting your own heart and your own journey. You can still be kind, respectful, and supportive to everyone, but you must be careful about who you allow to influence your daily life. Not everyone deserves a close place in your circle. Sometimes the hardest part is letting go. You may have history with certain people, you may have shared experiences and memories, but if that relationship is pulling you away from who you want to become, you have to make a decision. Growth often requires sacrifice. It may feel you comfortable at first, even lonely, but that space you create allows you to find better influences. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your purpose, who encourage you to do better, who make you feel motivated rather than drained. Even one good friend can make a huge difference. Someone who checks on your prayers, who speaks positively, who supports your goals. This kind of companionship is a blessing. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own path. You cannot blame others forever for where you are, but you can choose who walks with you moving forward. And that choice can either elevate you or slowly pull you down. Neglecting your salah is not just about missing a routine action. It is about weakening the most important connection in your life. Salah is your direct link with Allah. The one who created you, understands you, and controls every aspect of your existence. When this connection becomes weak, everything else in your life begins to feel unstable, even if you don't immediately realize it. Many people don't abandon Salah completely, but they become careless with it. They delay it, rush through it, or treat it as something secondary to everything else in their day. Work comes first, entertainment comes first, social life comes first, and Salah is pushed to the side. Over time, this attitude changes how you view your priorities. What should be central becomes optional, and what is temporary becomes more important than what is eternal. The impact of this neglect is not only spiritual, but emotional and mental as well. A person who is disconnected from Salah often feels a certain emptiness inside. They may try to fill it with distractions, achievements, or relationships, but that inner peace remains missing. This is because the heart was designed to find aram and peace in the remembrance of Allah. And Salah is one of the greatest forms of that remembrance. When you stand in Salah, you are stepping away from the noise of the world. You are putting everything else on pause and turning to the one who has control over your worries, your fears, and your mustaqballit future. But if that moment is missing from your life, where will you find that nafsind relief? Where will you unload the burdens you carry? Another danger of neglecting Salah is that it weakens your sense of accountability. When you pray regularly, you are constantly reminded of your purpose. You are reminded that Allah is watching, that your actions matter, that there is a life beyond this one. But when Salah is absent, that awareness begins to fade. It becomes easier to fall into wrong actions because the reminder is no longer there to guide you back. It is also important to understand that Salah is not a burden placed upon you. It is a gift given to you. Allah does not need your prayer. You need it. It is a source of strength, a means of purification, and a way to realign yourself every single day. No matter how far you have gone, no matter how many mistakes you have made, Salah is always there as a way back. Sometimes people feel overwhelmed and think, I've already missed so many prayers. What's the point of starting now? But this is exactly the kind of thinking that keeps you stuck. You are not expected to fix everything at once. You are only expected to take the next step. Even if you start with one prayer and build from there, it is better than remaining distant. Consistency is more important than perfection. You may struggle at first. You may forget, you may feel lazy, you may not feel that deep connection immediately, but keep going. The beauty of Salah is that the more you commit to it, the more it transforms you. Slowly your qalb and heart softens, your mind becomes clearer, and your life gains direction. Make Salah your priority, not an afterthought. Organize your day around it instead of trying to fit it into the gaps. When you do this, you will notice a shift, not just in your spirituality, but in your overall sense of peace and stability. At the end of the day, everything in your life can come and go, but your connection with Allah is what will truly sustain you in this world and the next. And Salah is the foundation of that connection. Addiction to distractions is one of the most subtle yet powerful habits that can take control of your life without you even realizing it. You may not see it as something serious because it doesn't always look harmful. It often comes in the form of scrolling endlessly on your phone, watching video after video, jumping from one app to another, or constantly seeking entertainment. It feels normal because everyone around you is doing it. But when you take a step back and reflect, you begin to see how much of your time, focus, and energy is being consumed by things that bring little to no real benefit. The biggest loss here is not just time, it is your potential. Every hour you spend distracted is an hour that could have been used to improve yourself, to build something meaningful, or to strengthen your relationship with Allah. But distractions are redesigned to keep you hooked. They give you short bursts of enjoyment, just enough to keep you coming back, but never enough to truly satisfy you. That is why after spending so much time on them, you often feel empty rather than fulfilled. One of the dangers of constant distraction is that it weakens your ability to focus. Your mind becomes used to quick, easy stimulation. You find it harder to sit quietly, harder to concentrate on something meaningful, and even harder to engage in acts of worship with hadurin, presence. When you stand in Salah, your thoughts wander. When you try to read Quran, your attention drifts. This is not because you don't care, but because your mind has been trained to seek constant stimulation. Another issue is that distractions create an escape from reality. Instead of facing your responsibilities, your goals, or even your problems, you turn to your phone or other forms of entertainment to avoid them. It feels easier in the moment, but the problems don't disappear. They wait for you. And when you finally return to them, they feel even heavier because time has passed and nothing has been addressed. Distractions also affect your sense of purpose. When your day is filled with things that have no real value, you begin to lose clarity about what truly matters. Your priorities become blurred. Important tasks feel like a burden, while meaningless activities feel easy and attractive. Over time, this shifts your entire lifestyle. You become busy but not productive, occupied but not progressing. But there is also a spiritual cost. The heart needs nourishment just like the body. Remembrance of Allah, reflection, and meaningful actions feed the heart. But constant distraction starves it. You may not notice it immediately, but slowly your qalb, heart, becomes less sensitive. You feel less motivation for good, less guilt for wrong, and less connection. And your abadat worship. This is how distractions quietly pull you away from your purpose. Breaking free from this habit does not mean removing all forms of relaxation or enjoyment. Islam does not ask you to live a life without ease, but it teaches balance and awareness. The problem is not the existence of distractions, it is when they take over your life. Start by becoming conscious of how you spend your time. Notice how many hours are going into things that do not benefit you. Then begin to set limits. Replace some of that time with something better, even if it is small. Read a few verses of Quran, learn something new, or simply sit and reflect. You will find that when you reduce distractions, your mind becomes clearer, your focus improves, and your heart feels lighter. You begin to regain control over your time instead of feeling controlled by it. At the end of the day, your time is your life. Every moment that passes is something you will never get back. So use it wisely. Because a life filled with distractions may feel easy, but it will never feel truly fulfilling. Lack of gratitude is a habit that quietly changes the way you see your entire life. It doesn't always come from arrogance. Sometimes it comes from constantly focusing on what is missing rather than what is already present. A person begins to measure their happiness by what they don't have, and as a result, nothing ever feels enough. Even when blessings are all around them, they remain unseen, unappreciated, and eventually taken for granted. When gratitude is absent, the heart becomes restless. You may achieve something you once dreamed of, but instead of feeling content, your mind immediately shifts to the next thing you lack. It becomes a never-ending cycle. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when I get this, when my situation changes, when things become perfect. But perfection never comes in this dunya, world, and so that sense of satisfaction keeps getting delayed. One of the greatest dangers of ingratitude is that it blinds you. You stop recognizing how much Allah has already given you. Your health, your ability to see, to hear, to walk, to think. These are blessings that many people around the world are struggling without. Yet because they are constant in your life, you no longer notice them. You only notice what is missing, and that creates a distorted view of reality. This mindset also leads to constant comparison. You look at others and assume they have a better life, more comfort, more success. Social media makes this even worse, showing you carefully selected highlights of other people's lives. You begin to feel that you are behind, that you are lacking, that you are lacking, that you are lacking, that your life is somehow less valuable. But what you don't see are the struggles, the pain, and the tests that others are going through. Every person has their own challenges, even if they are hidden. When you lack gratitude, even small problems begin to feel overwhelming. A minor inconvenience can ruin your entire mood because your mind is already trained to focus on the negative. But when you develop gratitude, something powerful happens. Your perspective shifts. The same problem may still exist, but it feels lighter because you are able to see the bigger picture. You recognize that alongside that difficulty, there are countless blessings still present. Gratitude also has a direct impact on your relationship with Allah. When you acknowledge His blessings, you naturally feel closer to Him. You begin to appreciate His care, His mercy, and His constant presence in your life. This strengthens your faith and brings a sense of peace that cannot be found in material things. On the other hand, when you are ungrateful, that connection weakens. You may still believe, but the excesses feeling of closeness is missing. It is important to understand that gratitude is not just something you say with your tongue. Saying Alhamdulillah is important, but true gratitude goes deeper. It is reflected in how you think, how you act, and how you use what you have been given. When you are grateful for your time, you use it wisely. When you are grateful for your abilities, you use them for good. When you are grateful for your wealth, you share it with others. Building gratitude starts with awareness. Take moments in your day to pause and reflect on what you have, even the simplest things: clean water, a safe place to sleep, people who care about you. It are blessings that many do not have. The more you reflect, the more you begin to see. And as you become more grateful, you will notice something beautiful. Your heart feels lighter, your mind feels calmer, and your life feels more complete, even if your circumstances have not changed. Because true contentment does not come from having everything. It comes from appreciating what you already have. In the end, gratitude transforms not your situation, but your perception, and that alone can change your entire life. As we come to the end, my dear brothers and sisters, take a moment to reflect. Change is something we all desire, but it does not come through wishes alone. It comes through honest self-evaluation and the courage to let go of what is holding us back. These habits we spoke about, procrastination, negative thinking, bad company, neglecting Salah, addiction to distractions, and lack of gratitude, are not just small issues. They are barriers standing between you and the life you are capable of living. The longer you hold on to them, the longer you delay your own growth. But here is the beauty of it all. No matter how long you have struggled, no matter how deeply these habits are rooted, you can start changing today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Even the smallest step taken sincerely can begin a journey that transforms your entire life. Do not overwhelm yourself by trying to fix everything at once. Choose one habit. Work on it. Be consistent. Ask Allah for help, because true change does not happen without His guidance. When He sees your effort, He opens doors you never imagined. Remember, you are not expected to be perfect. You are expected to try, to fall, to get back up, and to keep moving forward. Every step you take towards betterment is seen, is valued, and is rewarded. So walk away from here with a decision. A real decision that you will no longer be the same person held back by the same patterns, that you will take control of your time, your thoughts, your actions, and your connection with Allah. And if you do that sincerely, you will not only change your life in this world, you will secure something far greater in the hereafter. May Allah guide us, strengthen us, and grant us the ability to become the best versions of ourselves. Ameen.